Our second reading is from 1 Kings 2, 10 through 12, and 3, 2 through 14. Then David slept with his ancestors and was buried in the city of David. The time that David reigned over Israel was 40 years. He reigned 7 years in Hebron and 33 years in Jerusalem. So Solomon sat on the throne of his father David, and his kingdom was firmly established. Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of his father David, except that he sacrificed and offered incense at the high places. The king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there, for that was the principal high place. Solomon used to offer 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, "Ask what I should give you." And Solomon said, "You have shown great and steadfast love to your servant, my father David, because he walked before you in faithfulness, in righteousness, and uprightness of heart toward you. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit on his throne today. And now, O Lord my God, you have made your servant king in place of my father David, although I am only a little child. I do not know how to go out or to come in. And your servant is in the midst of the people whom you have chosen, a great people, so numerous that they cannot be numbered or counted. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, able to discern between good and evil, for who can govern this great people of yours?" It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this. God said to him, "Because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself long life or riches or for the life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right, I now do according to your word. Indeed, I give you a wise and discerning mind. No one like you has been before you, and no one like you shall arise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor all your life. No other king shall compare with you. If you will walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and my commandments as your father David walked, then I will lengthen your life." So my sermon today is a wise and discerning mind. And goodness knows, don't we all need that? And we just had a baptism. And that baptism has built within it vows. And it also has built within it hope. We hope that Ruth Anna grows well and develops a discerning mind. And I hope that we hope for ourselves that we have discerning minds to walk alongside her and all of the kids that come our way. That we are able to discern not only what they need to know, but also what we need to know. One of the things that is both beautiful and difficult for us as we go through our lives is that we are creatures of time. We were born a certain year and raised in that time, and time, as the song goes, keeps on slipping right into the future. And so often we kind of get stuck somewhere along the way. It's hard for us to remember that we live in 2024, not 19, whatever it was, whenever we grew up. And there is much wisdom that we gained along the way. And somewhere along the way, most of us get to the point that we think, if I could just have a do-over, Wouldn't that be great? Because I wouldn't make the mistakes I made. Because along the way, haven't we all made mistakes? And I know that if I knew then what I know now, I would make some, okay, most of it I'm pretty happy with. I was lucky. But there are some things, right? Because that's what it means to get older, as you look back and should have done this, shouldn't have done that. But I kind of think that it's a goodness that we are creatures of time. Because I suspect if I could go back and do a do-over, I would probably just make a whole bunch of different mistakes along the way. I'm grateful for the years of my childhood and how often I was surrounded by folks that gave me good advice. And a lot of their advice was given with good hearts, but stuck in a different time than the time I existed within. You know, that's the hard part of time. Because how often do we look around us today and have no idea what's going on? You know, try to apply the rules of 1945 or 55 or 75 or 85 or whatever to the hot mess that is today. One of the blessings I received was being brought up in multiple generational homes and hearing my great-grandmother talk about kids today. Kids today meant my grandmother sometimes, a lot of the time my parents. When my grandmother said kids today, she definitely meant my parents. Definitely. So when my friends start talking about kids today, I just smile because it reminds me of how in time we are. And we all get aggravated and we all get excited. And as the old scripture says, our old men will dream dreams. And our young men and women, sons and daughters, will prophesy. And a lot of times we end up with a generation bump because the dreams that the old men are dreaming are back in the day. Well, back in my day, da-da-da. Beautiful nostalgia is great. But boy, isn't it easy to get stuck and forget that we live thrown forward into a beautiful life that we have to figure out along the way. We live forward, not backward, if we want to keep living. If we want to hear God's call, because God pulls us forward, gives us sweet memories of the past, but continually reminds us when we get stuck there that we're to live today, loving one another and caring for one another, and sometimes making a way out of no way. Solomon, this child, was so grateful for the legacy that he received from his father. That was the heritage that we need to honor and love. But Solomon knew that he was not living in his father's day and that he had a different job. Remember when David danced naked into Jerusalem and decided, do you remember that? Because he did. When he danced naked into Jerusalem and he says, I'm going to build a temple. God says, hold up, that's not your job. You got other stuff you need to do. Do the job that's been laid on you. And there will be another generation. And they'll have a different job. May we have the wisdom to honor the sweet nostalgia and to build upon it. to let time invigorate us instead of stifle us. Because sometimes we've got to hang on to what was, and sometimes we got to build something new. That was part of the discernment that Solomon had. David wanted to jump ahead. Well, that wasn't his time. It could have been easy for Solomon, growing up in the shadows of some great folks. And aren't our kids growing up sometimes in the shadows of great folks? I mean, let's look at Ruth Anna and the shoes that we may be tempted to put on her. The shoes of parents and grandparents and great-grandparents, because don't we all love those parents and grandparents and great-grandparents? And haven't they done amazing work in our community? And aren't those who are still with us still doing great things in our community? But she's got her own call. Another set of shoes to fill, and that's her own, given to her by God. So may we discern who we are and where we're going as a community. May we dream our dreams as old folks are supposed to. And may we let that little one prophesy to us and see new possibilities that we're going to miss. Because, it's not 1945 or 55 or 75 or 85 or any of the rest. It's today. And she's growing into that, as are all of our kids. We all need discernment. May God give that to us, that we can be exactly what God calls us to be. May it be so.